Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Monday. Thank you all for being here for our June installment of Support Through Lifespan. My name is Mallory Workman, and I'm the Community Relations Specialist here at the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. If this is your first time tuning in for one of our Support Through Lifespan webinars, this is a monthly series in which we at DCBDD highlight different community resources or just talk about certain parts of receiving services through the board that folks might have more questions about than others. So, as I said, we are learning about housing today. So we have Mandy Wilcox, who is a SSA supervisor here at the Board of DD. We also have Carrie Kincaid, who is a program manager, and Lisa Wellhausen, the executive director of the Metropolitan Housing Authority. And we have Jim Cornett, who is the director of operations at TAG, the Alpha Group Community Living, here to talk a little bit about what independent living looks like, what, how you get started with that process, and some of the resources that we have available here in Delaware County for anyone that might be interested in living independently in the future. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and then we're going to kick off with Mandy, who is going to talk a little bit about what the housing process looks like, what kind of things to talk to your SSA about, and kind of where to go from here. Mandy, do you have the PowerPoint or do you want me to pull it up?
Oh, I do not have the PowerPoint. Thank you. If you could
Okay,
pull that up. I was just gonna
perfect.
wing it.
All right, well, I will share that and then we can get started. There, here. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, okay. This is new. This PowerPoint Live is new to me, so hopefully this goes as planned. Okay. All right, can you see the notes or can you see the whole screen?
We can see the full screen. Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, then I will unmute myself and Sandy, if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, of course. So there are obviously lots of things that come into play when you are moving out for the first time or moving out for a second time by yourself with roommates, etc. So obviously you want to start out with determining what your limits are. So what your budget is for rent, take into account your utilities, your food, and any personal expenses you may have, because we all want to do fun things and not just live in a house. And then you also need to think about if any of those utilities are going to have deposits or down payments if this is your first time getting a utility in your name. And then also talking with your SSA about resources that they may be able to help you get assistance with. So if you don't already have SSI or SNAP, which is commonly also known as food stamps, or getting utility assistance, or our friends with Metro who are also on the call, they can help as well, or we can help you get on those waiting lists. You have to take into consideration living alone versus living with a roommate. Living alone in Delaware can be very expensive and sometimes really hard for people, so living with roommates tends to be the best route to go. The benefits of also living with a roommate is that you can share services if that is something that you may need. So then you can have someone there to help you if that is something that you need with your services. Considering location, so around your family, if your family lives in Lewis Center, maybe you want to look in Lewis Center. If you work in downtown Delaware, maybe you want to look in downtown Delaware so you can use the Delaware Transit or walk to your job. Also, of course, where your fun things are. So if you are, love downtown Delaware and love First Fridays, then maybe you want to look around that area so you can walk to those things. A lot of our housing options will have month to month versus year long. So you need to talk with your landlord around whether they're able to do those month to month leases or if you are in a year long lease. Some landlords will give you a discount if you do those year long leases, and then some of them will not. So just talking to those different landlords, getting your SSA to help you reach out to those. Also in Delaware, not all of the apartments or places to live accept subsidies. So if you are utilizing a Metro subsidy, you want to make sure that that landlord accepts it. Same if you decide to use the DCBDD rent subsidy. Um, you also want to think about accessibility needs. So not all apartment complexes will let you change the way that apartment is shaped or update a bathroom or anything to meet the needs of yourself or any loved ones. And then again, if appliances are included or if those are things you would need to purchase. A little bit about our rent subsidy. So we do offer one with the DCBDD. You need to live in Delaware for at least a year before you are eligible for our subsidy. You need to be 18 or older and no longer receiving any school services. So that includes if you are in the ACT program or something like that that goes until 21. You also need to be in agreement to be on the wait list or for the Metropolitan Housing, so Metro, as most of us call it. You also need to be working or attending a day program or volunteering at least 15 hours a week. And if you ever have questions about what that means, your SSA can definitely work with you on that. If you are retirement age, obviously, we would work with you on that as well. And that is something your SSA can help with. If you, the Metropolitan Housing Authority is closed, so let's say there's not an opening, which happens sometimes, you have to be in agreement to get on that waiting list when it does open. And then I talked a little bit about our roommate search. If you are interested in living with somebody else, you're going to talk to your SSA first. There are bi-monthly meetings held to talk about that. During those meetings, we talk about everything about around whether that it's a good living arrangement, whether the services are going to meet the person's needs, whether they can share services, whether the homes we have available are accessible or not. And then we would then move forward with a meet and greet, and then those people can talk about whether they would like to live together or not. If they would like to live together, then that's when we would start talking about your free choice of provider and determining whether the HPC provider can provide services to both the people in the home. Then we would talk about sharing utilities and making sure we decide on who it's going to go in whose name. And if the person has already had utilities in their name, typically it is easier for that person. They won't have to do those deposits again. But if both people have not, then we would want to talk about who's going to take that on. A big thing that people forget about is the furniture in the house. So talking about who's going to bring what, if you're going to share the expense for certain things like a washer and dryer, that's a big one. Or if one person is just going to take it with them. And then if they end up not living together any longer, then you'd have to talk about the other person and what their plans are to get the washer and dryer. And then other things, just transportation, sharing groceries, whether you're going to have each have your own refrigerator or if you're going to share a refrigerator, if you're each going to have your own cabinets that you label or if you're going to share cabinets. All those things are really important and not always thought about before people move in. Talking about the shared spaces and having friends over and how long you want to have people at the house and just preferences on sound and cleanliness. All those things are really important to talk about before you actually move in together. And that was it for me. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Mandy, can I just add a real quick part to this? Hi,
Of course.
sorry. I'm Kim Golub. I'm another SSA supervisor here. And one of the biggest things that I think is so important is just the way that we always try to make sure that when we're moving in with somebody else is really taking that time to slow down and get to know them. I know everybody wants to move in real quick and things have to happen sometimes that way, but if we could kind of just slow things down and do more visits and outings and phone calls to get to know each other, because these are folks that are going to be living together 24/7 for a long time. I know we can go to month, but the more that we can kind of slow that process down, ask questions, really get to know them, have the families talk to each other, and make sure everyone's on the same page with a lot of the things, the more success our individuals will have and the less movement we will need to have in the future. Sorry, thanks, Mandy.
Yeah, of course.
Wonderful. Is there anyone that has any questions for Mandy? I'm monitoring the chat. There's a Q&A and there's a chat. I still haven't figured out what the difference is between the two, but I am monitoring both of them. All right. So with that, I am going to now pass it off to Lisa and Carrie from Metropolitan Housing Authority, or as Mandy mentioned, also goes by Metro. I'm going to try to unshare my screen. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. Okay, change view. All right, I don't know. Okay. Now this is, okay. Can you still see the slides? I'm trying to figure out how to exit out of it. Okay, I think stop sharing. All right. It's just our faces now. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to pass it off to Lisa and Carrie.
I think Carrie has some things prepared. You're muted, Carrie. Are you there, Carrie? You're muted. There you go.
Okay.
Control Shift M. I mean, I thought I could just click on the little dots. I mean, I've never, whatever. I don't have a whole lot prepared. I didn't really know if we were going to be speaking solely about like shared housing and how that works with Metro and Delaware County Board. I have some quick program statistics if you're interested. About 75, we're funded for about 450 vouchers. And we have about 75% of our folks are elderly, disabled, or both, and are just a 1-bedroom voucher. So that's where we're kind of all in the it takes a village kind of thing, because a lot of those who work with Delaware County Board and Summit Housing as well. I know that our wait list is closed. We don't have a reopen date, but we are pulling off again about 10 a month into the fall and seeing where that hits us financially. But I didn't know exactly, what would be most helpful for me to speak to, or Lisa to speak to today.
I think
anything specific you're looking for.
If you're able to just share like what, once we, as Mandy said, all of the folks that receive our subsidy are required to, be willing to be on the wait list for you all over at Metro. So if, as you said, there's 10 spots are opening a month or whatnot, what does the process look like after someone were to be on your wait list and it were to open up? Like, what would that process look like for someone?
Okay, cool. All right. So when they get on the list, and of course has to be done online, we pull off of the wait list first come, first serve. The only way to get to the top is it to be a surviving spouse of a honorably discharged veteran or their spouse. We would require them to fill out some forms for us. We would need ID documents, Social Security, and we would need to verify their income. And we would determine how much we would pay for them, help them out in a unit based on their income. So where the shared housing comes into play is the roommates that Mandy was talking about. So instead of giving everybody in a house, say a 3-bedroom house, a 1-bedroom voucher, we kind of are doing that, but what we would do is split the payment standard that HUD gives us for a 3-bedroom and then we would do math that way. So that way we can keep your folks on a separate lease so roommates can go in and out and whatnot. And that's how that would look.
Awesome. And then I guess then what would be like the eligibility or once you were to be on a Metro voucher, what do folks have to do to maintain that voucher? Is there, paperwork they have to submit every year? Are there certain eligibility guidelines that they have to adhere to just to maintain that?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're so muffled. Is she not muffled for anybody else? Just me?
A little bit.
Okay, all right. And I'm like really, really trying. I'm getting old. I'm really, really trying this. So when they're pulled from the wait list, we will determine if they fit into the income requirements. And we're looking at a 1-person household cannot make any more than, 39,000. So, I mean, most of our folks are going to qualify income wise. We do have a criminal background requirement. We only go back 3 years and we're looking for drug and violent offenses only. And we do require a yearly recertification after they go under contract with us. In the beginning, we do require a 1-year lease. And there's, different things that they have to abide by. It has to be their one and only residence. They can't be getting any other subsidy for rent. And, they have to abide by the terms of their lease. So, and then if there's moving, then that's kind of what we come into with a lot of the roommate situations that don't work out. There is a moving procedure. And I have a flow chart with that I can share with y'all later, but I can email it to Mallory and you can have that. And, giving proper notice to move and such. Lisa, do you have anything? Did I miss anything?
Looks good.
Okay.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions about the, am I clearer now or am I still muffled?
A little bit more. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I've never had issues with these headphones.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about the Metro process? So if folks were to learn about your services or learn more, would they just go to your website or what's the best way to get in touch with you all?
Some basics are on DelawareMHA.org, but we, our emails are on there, and it definitely reach out to us via email first, and we'll set up. I work a lot with Delaware County Board SSAs, and sometimes it's just we can go back and forth in email. Sometimes it's just let's set up a call. That's fine, but just definitely reach out about anything. We don't want anybody where they don't want to be, but we also need to follow the procedures of and we're not really going to pay as much as we would for the folks doing the shared housing that we would if they were in their own place. So, keeping that in mind as well.
Okay, looks like we've got a couple. Emmanuel, did you have a question? You have your hand raised. And then we also have a question in the chat. Emmanuel. Maybe he just wanted to say hi.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Oh, wait, yes, he said he does have a question. You can unmute yourself if you'd like. Oh, question is in the Q&A. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so the question is, does this mean that they cannot have a DCBDD and a Metro voucher at the same time?
Yes, they cannot have the 250 from y'all and then receive our subsidy as well. It's considered a double subsidy with HUD, and that's a program violation. Folks can get help with their deposit. That is allowed, but cannot go to rent.
And I would like to add, if you turn down your Metro voucher, then you are at risk of losing the Delaware County Board voucher as well. So you cannot turn down the Metro when offered it and then stay on our voucher. You would then be turning down both if that was your choice.
And that's happened. Good point. That's happened before, because when folks are pulled from the wait list, they're maybe living somewhere that doesn't take Metro, or they also have to fit within their HUD approved budget based on their income and our payment standards. So they might have independently qualified, say they said that, they were getting help from A, B, and C, or their parents, whatever. But they can't do that when they take ours, and HUD might say that it's too expensive for them and they might have to move in order to use the voucher. And folks don't, I get it, but who wants to move? But that's another thing that we run into. They will have to give up not only the 250, and sometimes, we'll pay less than that. Not often, but sometimes. And, that's kind of a beef too. So those are two sort of barriers there that come up.
And then we have another question asking, if someone is offered a voucher, what is the timeline to find a home? Kind of going off of what you were just talking about, Carrie, that is willing to take the vouchers. And what if they aren't able to find one in that timeline?
I love questions. I taught school for 18 years, and this is how we really learn. I'm glad, because I probably should have pointed that out as well. When they're pulled from the wait list, and we do all of the, background and all that and the verifications, we do give folks 120 days to find a unit within that HUD approved budget. And then they would submit, they would give what's called a request for tenancy approval to the prospective landlord. They'd fill it out. I'd send my inspector. We check the budget, and then we get a lease, and then we're good to go. But they have 120 days to find a unit that fits within their budget.
All right. Any other questions on this process so far? I'm sorry about the Q&A. The chat gives me notifications when someone says something, but the Q&A didn't. So I will make sure I'm still looking at that. All right. Well, Jim, I think it is your turn now. Oh, so we have a follow-up question. What happens if they can't find a unit in those 120 days?
Well, HUD gives us those days to work with our agency plan, and our agency plan does do the 120 days up front. Many folks, and I've learned this since I've been in management trainings and stuff, they don't give the 120. They do like 90 or 60. Then they have to show that they've been looking A, B, and C, and then we give an extension. We just give the full 120 days up front, and it's their turn. And if they can't find a place by and within 120 days, then they would have to reapply to the wait list when it reopens.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the good questions, everybody. All right, Mr. Cornett, it is your turn to talk about TAG community living.
Well, thank you, Mallory. Basically, we formed TAG in the fall of 2021, so we're relatively new into the housing arena. We started out with a twin single that we partnered with Habitat for Humanity to build for us over on Davis Street here in Delaware. But that was our first venture into housing. We do accept both Delaware County and Metro subsidies. In 2023, we entered into a property management agreement with the former Delaware Creative Housing. We took over their 9 properties and serving their tenants. Today, we presently sit at about 10 properties and about 35 tenants live at our residence in Delaware County. Our occupancy level is about 88% right now. We rely heavily on DCBDD for referrals. And it is a slow process. You know, the courtship and stuff like that of matching roommates and potential roommates is rather lengthy and takes a long time to fill, you know, bedrooms. But anyway, obviously our rent is market valued based. Last year in 2025, we focused on doing accessibility upgrades to a couple of our properties and updating some of our mechanical assets to become a little bit more efficient. We spent about $275,000 last year on updating our properties. We pride ourselves in being responsive to service calls. Normal service calls are responded to within 24 hours. But just again, you know, it's we're starting our 3-year strategic plan. You know, as far as starting that and starting to base, you know, our property assets and stuff like that on the demand of the individuals. We have seen, you know, areas where we have a great deal of, I wouldn't say we have a wait list yet, but we know that, you know, our single bedroom units are very highly sought after, and it's a much more difficult to fill, you know, our 3 and 4 bedroom homes. So we are, you know, evaluating that, working with different community partners. You know, property values in Delaware County are extremely high. So it's looking at that, maximizing our funding and to meet the needs of the individuals. That's pretty much, I thought, you know, just give you an overview of what TAG is and, you know, in the process.
Yeah, and that's great. And I have seen a lot of wonderful homes that you all have. And I think there is, you know, it's nice to have folks that are already familiar with the people that we serve at DCBDD as kind of like the landlords and as like the folks that are renting out these properties. Like I said, there's some great accessibility features in several of the homes that I've been to. And I think that it's hopefully easier to get some accommodation requests granted when you already come from that world and understanding why things are needed. So, do you have so how many? Can you remind me or say again how many properties you guys have available?
We have a total of 10 properties, and we currently serve about 35 residents.
Right. Wonderful. Does anyone who is on the call have questions? We will, just a little synopsis. If anyone who is listening either live or is watching the recording of this, the first step would really be to just talk with your SSA. Obviously, you know, several of the folks today shared that things can take a little time. So, you know, even if you're thinking about moving out in a year or 2 years or whatnot, it's definitely a good idea to start those conversations sooner rather than later. You know, you're not signing a lease today just by starting the conversation. And I think Kim offered some really great advice too. You know, when I was an SSA, I helped several people find housing, and you don't have to be your roommate's best friend, but it is good to know that you have, you know, similar compatibilities in lifestyle and things like that before, you know, committing to live with somebody. So getting to know them, have conversations, hang out, all of that stuff is really a really important part of the process if you're thinking about living with somebody. So Carrie shared in the chat that there is one move per year per HUD. So if you are on the Metro voucher, you are allowed to move once, but then you wouldn't. Is that a calendar year, or is it like you move once and then it's another year after that before you'd be able to move?
It's like when they come on and they sign their contract, they have to give us a year. And if they're moving somewhere else, that's cool, but then we need them to do another year. We can't, and I know that that's sometimes difficult when we're, doing the roommate thing, but that's something that's really been under scrutiny with HUD and our new funding rules and everything, the one move per year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So Mandy posted her email in the chat. So if you do have any questions about where to get started, or you're just interested in what the process looks like, or what the financial responsibility of living independently would look like, feel free to reach out to her. As always, I am also available. So if you have any questions after this, I can get you pointed in the right direction. Do we have any other? I'm looking at the Q&A. Any other questions from anyone on the call? Okay, well then I
just really quick.
Oh,
sorry, yeah. Just really when we open the wait list, we'll definitely give you advance notice and let you know when that is, when it reopens.
And how is that? This is just my own curiosity, but like how are folks chosen? Is it like purely a lottery, or is there certain people that have like priority because of certain certain needs, or how is that once it's open up? How are folks chosen?
Great question. So we don't have, it is first come, first serve, and the only way to get to the top of the wait list is to be a honorably discharged veteran or surviving spouse of one. Okay. I know that we've used to be not in our county, but like, well, I don't know, 20 years ago, we would do like Delaware County residents first. But somebody got sued in Nevada or something, so nobody does that anymore. Most of our applicants are only a fourth are coming on the wait list from actual Delaware County. Columbus and surrounding areas are big wanting to come here, and they do have to give us a year and stay here for a year before porting elsewhere. But so that's the only way to get to the top. And it was kind of a thing, well, I saw on Facebook the other day, well, I have stage 4 cancer and I couldn't get to the top of the list. But, then we get into, is it MS different than cancer? So we just do first come, first serve.
Okay, excellent. And hopefully my little screen is showing now. I just wanted to share this about our next Support Through the Lifespan. We will be chatting on Thursday, July 30th. Oh, hold on. We got another question. Let's see here. Another question in the chat. Are individuals still allowed to port from Delaware County to other counties if they would like? I'm not.
Okay, so
do you understand that question?
I do. Okay, so if okay, when you apply, okay, let's say you're applying to our wait list, it will, you'll give us your address and everything, and if you can prove when you're pulled from the wait list that you lived in Delaware or Union County at the time of application, then we can port your voucher to another county. If not, if they were applying, from Columbus, they'd have to stay here a year and then we could port. So there are some, I used to, when I, taught the class, say, oh, well, you could go to Hawaii or Puerto Rico. Actually now, with payment standards being there, it needs to kind of, we like it to be comparable payment standard and not be paying like quadruple for somebody to go live in San Jose. It's just not cost effective anymore. And our budget is really, really scrutinized. But yeah, if they were living here at time of application and can prove it with a lease, utility bill, whatever, then we can port them.
All right. Okay, hopefully this is still up. It opened another window, and so now I've got like multiple windows going on. But all right, well, thank you so much to Lisa, to Carrie, to Jim, to Mandy. I appreciate you all so much for being here today and giving us some more information on where to get started with the housing process. So thank you all. I appreciate you so much. And as I was saying, our next Support to the Lifespan installment will be Thursday, July 30th at 12, another Lunch and Learn. We are going to be talking with folks from Westerville Parks and Rec, the Franklin County Metro Parks, and Preservation Parks to talk about some of the adaptive and inclusive recreation opportunities they have here in Central Ohio. So be on the lookout for our event invites to that over the next couple of weeks. But other than that, I think we are good to go. So thank you all again for being here. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to myself or any of the folks that were on the call today. And have a good rest of your week and have a wonderful holiday this weekend. So thank you all. And
Thank
I
you.
will see you soon. So thank you.
Thank you.